right, welcome back. It's Friday, April the 3rd. Time is flying by. The first week at home is almost finished. I hope you've kept up with all of your work and you have a good attitude. You're not giving mom or dad or whoever you're with too hard of a time, are you, about your work? I hope not. I enjoy my time with you. I wish I could see you as I was doing it. I miss having people in front of me and talking to them. But this will have to do for today. All right, so last night you had to read chapter 4. And chapter 4 was an interesting chapter, and it was all about Opal's mom. And I thought it was interesting what the things that Dad picked that she liked. And so I'm going to go over them. You should have this list, and when you're finished, it goes in the back pocket of your folder. It is part of your assignments and part of your grade. All right, so first thing he said is that she was funny. She was a fun person to be with, and she knew how to laugh. We like people like that. It's a lot of fun to have. And she had red hair and freckles, which explained to Opal where she got it from, because Dad didn't have that apparently. And number 3, she liked to plant things. What was it? She could plant a tire and grow things, he said at the end, something like that. I mean, some people have what they call a green thumb, where they can plant things and grow things, and then other people, it doesn't matter how hard they try, it dies. And so it's like one of those things, you either have it or don't have it, and it's okay either way, whatever we have. And number 4, her mom was a fast runner, and immediately Opal was able to tell a story of how she was racing and how fast she was. So she's able to see some things in herself that went along with her mom, and that was pretty cool. Number 5, her mom could not cook. He said she couldn't even boil water. So he took care of their meals, apparently, so they had food to eat. And number 6, her mom loved a good story. Who doesn't love a good story, right? I mean, how many times have you been scrolling through, I don't know, do you watch Facebook or Instagram or something? And there's a good story on there. Sometimes we don't know if they're real or fake, but if it's good, we like it because we like to hear a good story. And number 7, she knew the constellations by name. Now that is pretty impressive. Have you ever been outside and looked up to the sky and there were so many stars? Now, if you live in the city or live in Merida Island or there's a lot of lights. And you can't see, you see some stars, but I promise you it's not many. I used to live in the country, and the only lights is every once in a while, like every 3 or 4 houses, there might be a street light maybe. So it was dark at night, and you couldn't see where you were going without a light. But boy, when you looked up in the sky, there were stars everywhere. It was like, wow. I kind of missed that because we just see a few here where we're at. And so she not only knew the constellation names, she knew which one was what, like Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the Big Dipper and the Little Dipper. Those are usually the first ones that people can find, but there's so many different constellations. I was pretty impressed that she would know them. Number 8, she hated being a preacher's wife. And what was Dad? Her daddy was a preacher. It's kind of hard being a preacher's wife or being a preacher's kid. I know I was one. My dad was a preacher, and I always felt like people were watching me to see if I was doing everything just right and perfect because, you know, I was the preacher's kid. And it would be the same thing with the wife. You know, she was expected to do certain things and judged on how well she did it. We shouldn't do that, but people do that. So I got that because I could personally relate to that. Maybe you can, maybe you can't. So, and number 9, she drank. She was human. She had some issues in her life. And number 10, she loved Opal very much. And Opal needed to know that her mommy loved her. Because she doesn't understand why her mommy left. And so those were 10 things that Mom was able to talk to her, or her dad was able to tell her about her mom, which is pretty cool. All right, so for today, open up your folder to page 6. Let's look at that. Okay, page 6. All right, we've already answered questions 1 and 2. Now remember, when you see all these lines, it doesn't have to be a complete sentence. We're doing Just answers, short answers, okay? Number 3 says, what does Winn-Dixie do when the preacher starts to speak in chapter 5? You haven't read chapter 5 yet, but we're looking at the questions, so you'll know to think ahead and remember this question so you can come back and answer it. You can finish the chapter, or when you get to the answer, stop and write the answer down and finish up the chapter, whatever is easiest for you. And then that's a short answer. It says this one's a longer, number 4. At the end of chapter 5, Opal talks to God about how lonely she feels. There's 2 parts to this question. A is the first question, why does Opal feel lonely? And then the second question is, have you ever felt the same way as Opal in the story? So you're going to put A on the first line, and you're going to answer that question. And then once you get to, I would probably take the bottom 2 lines for B, because it says a long answer. So it says, have you ever felt the same way? You're going to say yes or no. Probably going to say yes. We all have times when we feel lonely. Okay, and then maybe just give a quick brief time when you felt that way. All right, and at the bottom there, a little extra. It says, in 2 or 3 sentences, compare yourself to the main character of the story. And we know the main character here is Opal. So let's think about Opal. She's in an adult trailer park. Nothing wrong with trailer park. That's just the time frame that she was in. So she was around adults only. She didn't have any friends. And now she has this dog. Her dad's a preacher. And she doesn't have her mom. So compare yourself to that. How do you compare? Do you relate because maybe you don't have one of your parents at home? Or do you relate maybe because you have a cat or a dog that you take care of? Do you not relate because you have a really nice home and you have a mom and dad and siblings and you have friends in the neighborhood? So right in there, compare yourself. Compare means it doesn't mean that you have to be like her. You may be comparing how you're different in her character. Real quick, just not complete sentences again. Just put some information in there. That lets me know you're thinking about what's going on in our story. All right, so you're going to do that today. After you read chapter 5, you're going to work on questions 3 and 4 and the little extra at the bottom. And then let's look at page 7 right now. I think we can get started on this a little bit. It says, number 1 there, if you could give a title to this section of the book, what would it be? So let's go down one before we answer that, okay? Maybe you can come up with something really quick, but when it says that to me, I'm like, I can't think of the answer. So I'm going to use this next part to answer question number 1. So let's think. We've read 4 chapters so far. You're going to read the 5th chapter. So I'm just going to, I think there's enough lines. I'm going to label 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And let's go back. Chapter 1. This is when Opal goes into the grocery store and she finds Winn-Dixie. Okay? Does that summarize the chapter to you? It's always good to learn how to summarize things. When you have to write a report or write about something, so many times we want to copy right straight from it. But these chapters are pretty easy to summarize in a few words. So that's what I'm going to put for number 1 right now. I'm going to put Opal found Winn-Dixie. Would you do that with me right now? Opal found Winn-Dixie, D-I-X-I-E. Okay, that was the first chapter. Does that summarize it? Does to me. Okay, chapter 2. This is when she had to go talk to her dad. Let me look. Mrs. Dixon forgets exactly. It's hard. Sometimes you get them mixed up and you got to go back and look. This is when she gets to Dad and she tells him about Winn-Dixie. So What happened as a result? There's a lot going on here, but in the end, what happened? Did Dad say yes or no? Dad let her keep Winn-Dixie. Do you think that's a summary of that chapter? Would that be good enough to explain what happened? That's what I'm going to put. Dad let her keep Winn-Dixie. Or the dog, whatever's easiest for you to write. Go ahead and write it down. Dad let her keep the dog. All right. Chapter 3. Oh, this was the fun chapter because after she got to keep him, remember he was a stinky dog? So what happened? He got a bath. Pretty simple. Summarizes the chapter, doesn't it? So the dog got a bath. All right. So that's the first 3 chapters summarized like that. All right. Now, you will put something down for number 4 and 5. All right, that's going to be part of your assignment for today after you read chapter 5. You can put 4 down. It's pretty easy. I think you'll get it. We'll talk about it on Monday. But you need to put something down for chapter 4 and chapter 5. When you have all 5 of these and you look at them, we know the title is called Because of Winn-Dixie, and that goes for the whole story. But can you take what we have written down and then maybe think of a title to this part of the book, just the first 5 chapters? I want you to work on that and think about it, and that we will also talk about on Monday. Also, let's see what else I want you to do. We're going to finish on Monday the last 2 parts of this. What's your favorite part of this section of the book? If you learned any new words in chapters 1 to 5, just write the words down. Draw a picture of something that represents the first 5 chapters. If you can come up with a title for number 1 at the top, then you would be able to draw a picture for that. It doesn't have to be a hard picture. I mean, sometimes people, the best they get at drawing people are stick figure people. Okay? I don't have a problem with that as long as your picture is describing something. So if you give it a title, then make your picture kind of go along with the title. Not a hard picture. Don't make it hard. Again, you have to have these things done in order to get your grade for reading while we're doing this. All right, so let's go over what your homework is or what your classwork is for today. Today is Friday, April 3rd. So you're going to read chapter 5. You'll open your folder to page 6 and answer questions 3, 4A, and 4B. And then at the top it says finish questions 1 and 2. So first you'll go back and finish number 2, number 4 and 5 that we didn't do, chapter 4 and chapter 5, summarize them like we did 1, 2, and 3, and then think of a title. Think about what's common about all 5 chapters. What is in all 5 chapters? That might help you come up with a title for this section of the book. All right? If you want to go ahead and you're like, wow, this is easy, I'm going to do this right now, your favorite part, go ahead and put that down. Again, it doesn't have to be complete sentences, but you're going to need to list it. If you learned any new words, write them down, and then draw your picture to match your title. All right, so not all of that is for today. It's just if you get in a hurry and you want to go ahead and finish that part, that is fine. All right, so Monday we're going to go over what you're doing today, and we'll get started with the rest of the book. If you jump ahead and read, it's going to make it difficult to answer the questions. So could you stay with me? I hope that you guys are reading other books, that you have some. Keep up with the good work. I have a class tomorrow with accelerated readers. So you'll have that information very soon, or probably already have it, how to maybe use it at home some. Anyway, it's great seeing you. I hope you have a fantastic weekend, and I look forward to seeing you again on Monday.